have an awesome class to partake in today. The sibling relationships, which I know a lot of you have been waiting to hear something on, is going to start the program. And then Wendy is going to be speaking about the partnership between parents and teen leaders. And then Chris will be closing us out with choosing friends. I would like us to turn to a scripture, 1 Timothy 5:8. It says, "If anyone does not provide for his relatives, especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." And I really love this scripture when we're talking about providing for our family. And in the sibling relationships, I think, first of all, the world just accepts that siblings don't get along. I hear this all the time. It is amazing to me how many moms in the past year, last school year, came up to me and made comments about my children getting along or liking each other, or how do you do it? One mom came up and she said, "You know, my daughter was at your house and she overheard your older daughter had spent some of her money and bought your younger daughter a pair of bell-bottoms or something." She asked me, she was like, it was right in the middle of like a sporting event too. People everywhere, we're supposed to be watching our kids, trying to take pictures of them, and she's like, "How do you do it? What do you do to help them have a good relationship?" And I thought, okay, well, do you have about 3 hours and maybe we could sit down and study something out here? But I said, you know what? I think the biggest thing on my heart about that is that I don't ever want to accept the world's view of siblings. And I said, you know, we really try to encourage our kids to be each other's best friends, to support each other. And I think one thing that I was thinking this morning, just to give you a little bit to think about, and then Kristen and Jeannie Shaw are going to come and share with you as well from their life and their family. But I think we need to demolish the myth that siblings cannot get along, that they just are naturally going to be competitive, hate each other, and someday later on in life they'll learn that they love each other and need each other. And I think some of the things we can do to unify them, first of all, as mothers, is just to set the atmosphere. You know, I try to never say anything negative about their relationship, or I would never say something like, well, my kids don't get along, or they just don't like each other. I would never say that to anyone else, even if it was happening, or to them, because I think it just reinforces the negative. Jeannie and Kristen, I believe, are an awesome example in their home of just unity, and especially with their siblings. And it's not that there are never challenges, which I'm sure they may share, but they have some really awesome thoughts to share with us this morning.
I am very happy to be able to talk about this subject. I think it's a huge, huge need. And in case you're wondering, you know, I do believe we're up here because we do have a family that's united and loves each other, but they didn't come out of the womb that way. Just to put your mind at ease, okay? It's not like every morning they woke up, "Oh, you're so awesome, what can I do for you today?" And Kristen's going to share, you know, some about this. But I think the most important conviction I can give to you today is that you as a parent, as a mom, and of course it needs to be a united decision with your husband, but the decision that your children will love each other deeply and from the heart. And that's the way it will be, period. That's the way it will be. That you see what it should be like and you decide that's what we're going to have in our family. And it ain't going to happen, you know, by your decision without the follow-through. And cluing the kids in on that and seeing that it happens, seeing to it. That's so crucial, but it's got to start with the decision that this is the way I believe God commands it to be, because He does when He says, love one another as I have loved you. And I believe as the ultimate perfect father and big brother that Jesus is to us, that he was so concerned that those he loved love each other. John 17, verse 20. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, and that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me. May they be brought to complete unity, to let the world know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. What a prayer. And I also pray, that's a prayer we pray every day for our children, that they may be completely united in Him and God and with each other. But I believe a big portion of that is really believing that it's a command of God and that it's what you're going to accept and call for. Kristen's going to share with you some of the practical ways that have helped her in her relationship with her siblings to do that. But so many times we get just, I think, lulled to sleep by this. And, it'd be like sitting in your house when it's freezing cold, and yet you have plenty of heat, but you just don't get up to change the thermostat. I mean, we think that's not very smart. To just sit there in the cold and not change the thermostat when you can do something about it. But so many times we get so used to being in a cold house with the relationship with our children that we fail to say, wait a minute, I can change this thing. I can change the thermostat here, and I don't have to be sitting here in a cold house. It can be warm. And it's a whole lot better to be in a warm house than a freezing cold house. Because when you're in a freezing cold house, it just begets more separation, because everybody's under their own little blankets and not talking to each other, and it doesn't have to be that way. Kristen's going to share with you some things that have been practiced that we've learned that have helped, I believe, to bring about that unity. And we're even learning it again, is now I am no longer just a mother of teens and one who's past teens, but I now have a preteen.
Well, I'm really excited to get to share with you about sibling relationships, because they're so important to me, and I love my brothers and sister so much. But I think that the thing that has helped us so much, it's so not perfect. Like my mom said, we don't wake up with every morning and I love you, what can I do to serve you at all, especially when my sister was at home. We definitely had challenges. We definitely had conflicts. The girl fights about clothes and whose clothes is who, and asking or borrowing without asking and things like that. And so it's never perfect. Now with my brother, it's more like the different conflicts, like he just expects me to take him places, or I don't want to take him places, or those kind of conflicts now with my brother. And now with Jacob, it's a whole new different experience that I haven't even figured out what it is yet. But I think the things that have really helped me the most is when we do get in those conflicts, I know that it's not a choice. There's never a doubt in my mind that they won't get resolved. I never, have a conflict with my sister, an argument with my sister, and think this is the way it's going to be, or I don't just sit there and just think about how unfair she is or how mean she is to me. I don't let myself. I know my parents have taught me, that's so wrong. And I think that things like our family devos, if we ever do have unresolved things, or things that might have even been talked about and resolved, but I still feel weird about in my heart, we talk about those things, and my parents will ask us about those things. And my parents are so amazing. They always are. How are you doing with Sam, or how are you doing with Melissa? And that's helped me so much, because sometimes I think I can and even they can, like we have these feelings that we don't even know until somebody asks us. And so that's really helpful, just them being in our lives. And when we have DP times with them, you know, a big chunk of the time we spend talking about my relationship with Sam and Jacob, especially now. But I think with Melissa, having an older sister, it's been so amazing because she's my best friend. I want to be her when I grow up, you know? I think that she has taught me so much. She's such an example to me, and she's helped me know what it means to be a disciple. She helped me want to be a disciple, and now that I'm the oldest at home, I think I have that I can think, okay, Melissa helped me so much. I want to help Sam, and I want to help Jacob, you know, feel the excitement and feel the pain too of what it's like to be a disciple. But I think that that's really important, is just placing an emphasis even on the older child to be an example, because I learned so much from Melissa. And I think another one of our practicals is we have a 75-25 rule, and our 75% of the time is encouragement and building each other up, and then 25% of the time we can joke around with each other and have fun. And you know, we definitely don't always stick to that exactly like we should, but it really does help. It's helpful, like if we're at dinner or something like that, you know, and it's getting a little carried away, you know, they'll just say 75-25, and I think even things like respect issues. Like, I respect my brother and sister so much, and I think a lot of it has to do with my parents have always demanded respect for them. And so it's helped us be respectful to each other. And even things like seniority and things like that, like, you know, the oldest person gets the front seat. And things like that seem little, but those can be the cause of little fights, and those little fights can turn into big things. But I am just so thankful for my brothers and sisters because I think that they've helped me so much. Like with Sam, even though he's 2 years younger, my friends at school, they see the way we are. Like, we walk to classes together and things like that. And they ask me, like, aren't you embarrassed to walk down the hall with your brother? And I am so proud of my brother. We went to his football game last night, and somebody pushed him after a play, and I was so mad. I was just like, I will talk to that boy afterwards. But I think that's like, I love my brother so much, and he's such a big part of my life. And I'm so much fun with him. I tell him everything. We know everything, you know, even with his girlfriend, you know, we'll talk about that and help him with things that I know a girl would want. And but things like that I feel like is really good, just encouraging your siblings, no matter the age or if they're a boy and a girl, to be friends, because I've seen just how possible it is. I mean, people always joke around about how me and Sam are so affectionate, and we give each other hugs all the time. People always give me a hard time about that, because I love my brother. I love hugging him, and I think that that's really helped us too, just like, you know, even if we're in a conflict or whatever, sometimes I'll just hug them and then I'll walk away and then I'll come back later, just so like we can calm down and get things resolved. But I think having that kind of push, just, you know, to be affectionate too with your brothers and sisters has really helped me too, because we show each other that we love each other. So I love them, and I really do feel like they're some of my best friends, and I've learned so much from them. So.
Good job.
Just in closing out, the resolving conflict and bringing things to closure is something that I think we can fail to do so many times, no matter what it takes. And there have been times when it's taken a long time, you know, and we've had to really hear things out and just say, and it's not just that, you know, automatically you learn, oh, I want to go give him a hug. I love the affection there, but at the same time, there's been teaching of, all right, give each other a hug, you know, so that it becomes something. It's a good thing, it's a right thing, but you've got to make sure that there's the, I'm sorry, I forgive you. We don't stop short of the, okay, there's got to be the I'm sorries and I forgive you here, and then a bringing back together of the closeness and the unity, and then in the future, what did you learn from this? So in the future, when this happens again, you can work this out in that way. And there's times we've known, you know, we could get in there, a lot quicker and resolve it, and have just waited to let them work at it and go at it till they can get it resolved, because they've got to learn to do that, with each other and in the relationships and further. And only if it is just too much time or it's not getting any progress, then did we really get involved after they had the tools for working that out. And I think that's a very crucial thing. You can't spoon feed them constantly and just always doing it for them. You got to teach them how and let them do it. And I think that's so crucial. And the last thing I wanted to say is, right now, if you don't have kids that are united, and especially if your teens are disciples, understand that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing, and it's probably wearing on you more than you can possibly know. Because when our kids aren't doing well with each other, when they're not doing well, there's nothing like it inside. And get help. Go after it.
Okay, Wendy Enright will come now and speak on parent and teen leader relationships.
Thank you. But as we all feel today from Gordon's message, it's our responsibility to get our children to heaven. And that doesn't stop just because our kids start studying the Bible. And I think just to kind of caution us, there's two kinds of extremes that we can go to. The first extreme is, we can drop our kids off at the teen ministry and say, call me when they're ready to be baptized, and we kind of feel like, okay, I gotta let them go, and here they go, and this is the teen ministry, and the teen workers will do the rides, and they'll do the this, and they'll do the that, and they'll let me know when they're ready. And sometimes we might even feel like I shouldn't ask about the studies, or I don't want to interfere. And then the other extreme is we can hover. And we're always right at the teen leaders' heels, and what they say in the study, what they, and like Gordon said, 50% of that is probably really genuine concern, but sometimes that can be, what did they say about our family? What did they say goes on? What did they talk about? And we've got to be humble and be willing to hear, what's being said. Or to just kind of, take a little step back. For those of you who are new to the teen ministry, we have some of the best trained, most experienced, non-full-time teen leaders in the whole movement of God. And God has really put a burden on their hearts for our children. And, they work full-time jobs, and then they spend Saturdays coming to workshops listening for your children. And they spend Friday nights after all their single friends are going to single devos or having single parties or doing whatever, they spend at teen devotionals. And they spend Sunday afternoons after church when the singles are going out to lunch in the mall, in the food court, having lunch with your kids and studying the Bible with them. And they really pour out their free time to see our kids make it to heaven. And what I want you to have an appreciation for the teen leaders, but also for God, because He's the one who's designed it this way. God sets the parts of the body exactly the way that He wants them. And we need to really understand the role of the teen leader. Their role is to assist the parent in getting their kids to heaven. The teen leaders do understand. Phil and Chris and Eddie and Roxanne really train us in, we got to take control of our ministries, take ownership of our ministries, and we appreciate that. And they teach us how to do it in a respectful way, and that's a lot of what we talked about at camp is communication and having a heart for parents and understanding how hard it is to hear negative things about your kids, and how we as teen leaders need to institute the 75-25 rule when we're talking to you about your children and encouraging them and letting you know the things that you're doing well. But there are those times we're going to point out things that aren't going well. And we need to have a heart to listen to that. And communication is the key, and that requires humility on everyone's part. And I think that Satan works really hard to undermine this. I think that Satan really tries to cause both sides to be defensive or to be concerned. Oh, they're judging me, or they think this, and to kind of let our imagination run away. And I think we really have to stop and listen to the content of what's being said and not give way to fear, and really hear, this is being pointed out so you can change this. You can make a difference before it's too late. The awesome thing is that the parents and the teen leaders both see the children, the teen, in very different views, and we talk to the teens about, who you are at home is who you really are. And that is true a lot of the time, like we get the teen disciple. I'm teen disciple and I'm here and I love the kingdom, but my room's a mess, I hate my brother, and we don't always see that dynamic at home. At the same time, sometimes you get, what Gordon was talking about, I'm teen disciple and I'm so open and I initiate all the time and I'm so awesome. And they come to the study, they come to the teen devotional, they're not giving, they're not out of themselves, they're insecure, they're hiding. And so both sides need to be willing to hear what's going on in the other person's life, in the other person's sphere of influence. And to really hear, this is what we see, and what's going on at home. And to remember that, the common goal is to get the child to heaven. No one is there to say, to put anybody down or to put someone in their place. The goal is, let's talk about this so we can help your child get to heaven. And teens are really, they're struggling for their identity. They're trying to figure out who they are. And so sometimes they can be really different people given the setting. And we've got to help them see themselves as the way that we all see them collectively. This is how you are in school, this is how you are at home, this is how you are in the teen ministry, and bring that all together and give them some convictions so they'll be the same person wherever they go. And that's, really the key. I think there's two big areas I just want to address as far as communication that are really, really important. The first is in seeking advice with the teen leader. All of us who are disciples, we have disciplers and we get advice about our parenting and so forth. But when our children start to study the Bible or they become disciples and they have their own discipler, we've got to add another layer of communication. And it's not always just sufficient enough that we got advice from our discipler, but that our teen got advice from their discipler. And sometimes as parents, I know I can be sentimental with my daughter. I can, oh, that's too much, or you're expecting too much from her, and is that really a good thing? But the teen leaders do really know the teen ministry. And they do know, in a lot of ways, what's fair to expect, or what's good to expect, or what's right to expect. And it's okay if you feel like you have extenuating circumstances, share that with the teen leader. But it's always good to talk to the teen leader or send your teen to talk to the teen leader and say, well, and maybe not tell them your conviction about something, because sometimes, honestly, we can hold our kids back. We know we're working hard, or we know whatever, and we've talked to our teen leader, our discipler, and oh, it's okay, we don't have to be at this thing, or, but that doesn't mean that it's okay for our kid not to be at that thing. Or that they shouldn't be, that we shouldn't expect that from them, because teens have a lot of energy, they have a lot of time. I know that they do a lot too, but they have a lot of discretionary time, and we just need some help talking through that and seeking advice. And then the other area, especially as moms with our daughters, is the area of dress. And what we allow our teen daughters to wear and our young teen daughters to wear. And, again, I think we just really need to be willing and humble to talk to teen leaders about how they see our children dressing. Because we look at our cute little daughters, kind of pre-adolescent, or we don't really see them as they're developing physically and becoming sexual beings. And the boys see it, and the teen leaders see it, and we as moms need to see it. And sometimes, awesome Christian parents allow their girls to wear things that really cause the boys to struggle and the teen disciples to struggle. And we just think, oh, but they're just cute, and they're so cute, look at them, and they have no figure or whatever. But some of they do have figures. And the boys are thinking, and the disciples, I know the teen guys are working very hard to stay pure. And it's a shame that we allow or permit our girls to wear those things because we're afraid to take a stand, we're afraid to have a conviction, or maybe we're just naive, we just don't realize. But to really talk to the teen leaders about the dress, or if a teen leader talks to you about your daughter's dress, to take that seriously and to really consider their point of view and what a brother might be thinking. So those are the two areas. But ultimately, just to remember that it is a partnership. And that is what we need to have, a partnership where we're all working together, where we're not jumping to conclusions. And I really think what Gordon talked about, giving the teen leaders the benefit of the doubt when your child comes home, maybe with a complaint or a concern, to realize that maybe their perspective isn't 100% accurate. There could be some validity to it, but that you're really going to support the teen leader, not going to jump to any conclusions until you talk to that person and you figure it out. Amen. Now Chris is going to come, and she's going to talk to us about a really important issue about how to help our kids choose great, awesome friends.
Thanks. So I'm going to talk about not only choosing the friends, but the relationships with them as well. And this is an exciting topic. It's a big, big topic for teenagers because, as we know, their relationship with their friends is vying for number one in importance with their relationship with God and their relationship with the parents. So this is a big issue for the teens. It's very humbling, I think, as a teen leader to talk about raising teens when we haven't had them yet. And I know I speak for all the teen leaders, and Roxanne speaks from more experience than we do because she has a teen and a preteen. But we are sharing what we have learned over the years, our observations of teenagers with Christian families and without Christian families. And so when we're sharing these things, it's tried and true. These are real things, real stories and information that we've gathered based on actual experiences that we, just want to really be helpful to you. I think in being most effective with our teens in helping them to establish their healthy relationships, I see two other relationships as being crucial. And that is, first, your relationship with your teen. And secondly, your relationship with your teen leader, with your teen's teen leader. I think that the teen needs to feel really close to you and comfortable with you, that they know that you trust them or you want to trust them, and they trust you. They trust that you really are out for their best interest. And that can help them when you want to talk to them about their relationships. And I think that, we're not always the best judge of where we are with our kids. And I think some do have excellent relationships, and there's always room for growth in any relationship. I think it would be a good idea to ask your spouse, if you have one, ask the teen leader, ask other parents who are around you, how do you see my relationship with my son or daughter? and really go after that relationship. You will be amazed at how much it will help you to help them with the rest of their relationships. And it's important, as we've talked about, to really be close to the teen leaders so that you can talk back and forth about how things are going, not behind the teens' back, but really so that you can just be aware, get help of how you can work with the teens better, and enlist the teen leaders' help in working on things. And of course, I think the most important thing in working in their relationships and helping them to have healthy relationships is prayer. Praying about it constantly, and even praying with them about their friendships. And I wanted to read a psalm in just talking about helping them actually choose friends. This has always reminded me of teen ministry. In Psalm 1, it says, "Blessed is the teen who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on God's law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yield its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers." And that's always reminded me of teens and teenage relationships, because this is exactly what, we want or we don't want. We want our teen to be blessed and not walk in the counsel of the wicked. We want their best friends to be spiritual friends. And, we want them to be around people who are doing what is right and looking after their own personal righteousness. We want their delight to be in the law of the Lord, and the best way is if their friend's delight is in the law of the Lord. And we want them ultimately to prosper. We want them to bear fruit in their season. And so to me, this is a really great scripture talking about relationships. And I think it's probably the best thing I can think of next to prayer is to really just be open and honest and draw things out of your teens. Draw out of them what you want them to feel and to know and believe and have as their own convictions about choosing relationships. And I think a way to do this is to just initially help them figure out, well, what is it they want? What is it you want in a friend? What are you looking for? Have talks like that in discipleship times, in family devos, just in casual conversation. What are you looking for? Then also, who do you want to be? What do you want to do with yourself? What do you see yourself doing this year in school? What do you see yourself being like in a couple years? When you're a senior, what do you think you want to be like when you're a senior? Well, it's going to be really important then that you choose the right friends. And, really just having conversations like that with them. I think that is next to prayer, that, having conversations like that and including the Bible, incorporating scriptures into that will help them to, choose the right relationships. And then I wanted to talk about, once they are in relationships, I wanted to talk about first with Christian relationships, some things that we can do that as moms, what we can do. First thing is to model, and it's neat because Gordon and everybody else have talked about a lot of the things I wanted to talk about, but I think it's important for us to model love and respect for the other Christians in our lives. Because when they see us really respecting and loving genuinely from the heart the other disciples, especially the people in our family group, especially the people that are not as lovable, easily, and especially our discipleship partners, then they will learn that from their heart when they see it modeled like Gordon talked about. I know for me, Jeannie disciples me, and it's really important when I'm around the teenagers that I don't just say, "Oh, I don't know, I need to go ask Jeannie." Or, "Oh, I could get with you, but I have to get with Jeannie today." We do with just subtle little things. We might even do it that big. It might just be, "Oh, I would do that with you, but my discipleship time." And the kids pick up on that part of it, And, it's important, how I convey how I feel about Jeannie. And, you might think, well, if Jeannie was my discipleship partner, I'd have no problem conveying good feelings about her. It's true, she's awesome. But I know she's not always going to disciple me. I'd love that, but I'm realistic. And I know that no matter who disciples me, whether it's someone I like or wouldn't necessarily be, normally attracted to or whatever, I need to have genuine love and respect for that person in my heart before God and before my teens. And it's just crucial. And I did want to just add a little side note here. I know that we have had several teens over the years who have not been super relatable in certain areas. And we've had teen leaders, talk to the kids about these things, and it could be this issue or other issues. And then the teen goes back to the parent and says, they talked to me about this and they think I'm not relatable, and can you believe that? And then the parent says, no, I can't believe it. You're perfectly relatable. There's nothing wrong with you. And and then, then you've got a kid who will never become relatable. And I think it's so important, that we have humility in hearing what is being said. And it may be that it wasn't said the best way, and you can talk with the teen leader about that. And it may be that maybe they are a little off in exactly what they said. Maybe, that's the actual relatability issue is a little more over here, and you can talk about that, with the parent, with the teen leader. But it's so important that that you're humble and that the teens feel like, you're not just going to protect them from all discipling. Secondly, in Christian relationships, you want to do whatever it takes on your part to facilitate positive spiritual relationships. This may mean that in fellowship you tap a disciple, a strong disciple, and say, could you give my daughter a call and just see if, ask her to sleep over sometime, especially if you are the parent of a younger teen or the parent of a teen who's not interested in coming to church. And, the teens are not always very good and super responsive, but you need to keep up with it. Ask the teen leaders to help. It's something we're working on overall as a ministry, the teens reaching out to people that are not, their best friend. They're just not good at that. But we want to work on it, and that's something that I think parents need to see as part of their responsibility, that you help get your son or daughter great relationships with strong people. And encourage them to have sleepovers. I know at my house, our house growing up was always messy, and my mom didn't want us having sleepovers. And it was just, I'm not going to feel like it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's Tuesday. You're not going to feel like me having a sleepover on Friday? How do you know what you're going to feel like Friday? We don't want to discourage them from doing fun things with friends. We need them to build relationships, and I'm sure no one's probably that bad, but you do want to encourage them, let them know that you think it's great that they want to have people sleep over, especially strong disciples, and that you are willing to do whatever it will take, to help them get to the movies or the mall or do whatever. And along with this, that you will drive the distance. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard. I know it's hard driving to all the teen devos. I know it's hard, maybe the person that you want your son or daughter to build a relationship with is in another state. We're in New England and we're across states. But it's worth their soul. And please, I just beg you to please be willing to literally drive the distance, go the distance. And please don't make them feel like it's a burden to you, because they will feel that. I have seen so many kids who have fallen away or never become Christians because though out of one side of their mouth the parent was saying, I want you to become a Christian, out of the other side of their mouth they weren't willing to lift a finger to make it happen. They thought they were. They were, praying for them and asking for advice and stuff, but when it came to, helping them build good relationships or driving them to the teen depot, which was far away, they complained about it. And the kid feels it. They feel, that, well, this is really a pain for mom, so it's not even worth me doing it. They feel that. In non-Christian relationships, we have 3 things there. One thing is we need to model follow-up. We want our kids to really bear fruit, and it's important that we model follow-up, that we are excited about getting a phone number, that we're excited about meeting someone new, or having a neighbor over, and that we're on it. We're making something happen with it, and that we're helping them with their follow-up. And it may be if your kid doesn't like your involvement in their lives, to that detail, or maybe you tend to nag, then again, enlist the teen leader's help. Work with the teen leader on this. Then secondly, help them combine activities with non-Christians and Christians. Some of the kids are great at building Christian relationships, and they're always doing something with the disciples. And other kids are great at doing things with their friends from school. But we need to combine those things, because the Bible says that, people will see that we're disciples by our love for one another, but if these are always separate activities, the non-disciples will never see the love for one another. So it's important that we help orchestrate things, and remind the kids, well, why don't you, have so-and-so over with so-and-so disciple? Let's have a movie night here, and each one of you, pick 3 disciple friends, and you can all invite, a non-Christian over to watch the movie or something, but help them with that. And thirdly, it's important, I think, to model and teach, to share not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well. And some of us are really good at sharing the gospel. We're very, religious and preachy, and we're not very good at sharing our lives and making it normal. And some of us are really good at, we have great non-Christian relationships, but we are really scared to put the Bible in there and aren't really comfortable with, making the Bible a comfortable part of our relationship with non-Christians. And that would be a great thing to get advice on, to ask your discipler, to ask the teen leader, even to ask your kids, how do you see me in terms of, incorporating the Bible in my life as well, and get help with that. But teach your kids how to do that. Teach them how to have great conversations, how to, just be relatable, how to bring up the Bible in a normal way, how to pray, that God would just open up a conversation at school. Teach them how to have a meaningful talk, with someone at school. And meaningful to a teenager is, oh, you mean that relates to me? If it applies to them, if it can relate to them, then they think that's meaningful. And, teach your kid your teen how to take something, say that they heard in a Sunday sermon, and to be able to apply it, that they could just share it at school, in a conversation. Teach them how to do that kind of thing. The friends that they're hanging around with, their Christian friends or their non-Christian friends, shows us where they are. Thanks for your time and attention, and you guys are awesome.